This episode explains the wisdom God gave Solomon, how it worked, what it revealed, and why it still matters today. Before Solomon drifted from the Lord, he wrote, and what he wrote shows a mind operating on a level the ancient world had never seen. Scripture says it plainly in 1 Kings 4:32 through 33. He also told 3,000 proverbs, and his psalms numbered 1,005. He told of trees from the cedars that is in Lebanon, even to the hyssop that grows on the wall. He told also of animals, birds, crawling things, and fish. This isn't a normal king. This is a mind dissecting creation and humanity with God-given precision. But the clearest window into that wisdom is the book of Proverbs. In Proverbs, Solomon is mapping the moral universe. He is not offering clichés. He is identifying laws. Proverbs is filled with these cause and effect patterns. In Proverbs 16:18, it says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before stumbling." Like the coworker who ignores correction, he doubles down and the whole project collapses because he couldn't admit he was wrong. Another one is Proverbs 18:12. "Before destruction, the heart of a person is haughty, but humility goes before honor." Like the student who thinks he's above studying until the test exposes him, while the humble one quietly rises to the top. Another one is Proverbs 11:6. "The righteous of the upright will rescue them, but the treacherous will be caught by their own greed." Like the investor running a shady side deal who ends up exposed, not because someone caught him, but because greed left a trail. These are Solomon observing human behavior, the way a scientist observes nature. He maps the inner world of desire. In Proverbs 14:30, he says, "A tranquil heart gives life to the body, but jealousy is rottenness to the bone." It's like the person who can't celebrate someone else's success, constantly drained because comparison is eating them alive. He also diagnoses speech like a surgeon. In Proverbs 15:1, he says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Like the argument that could have ended peacefully, but one sharp sentence ignites a fire no apology can put out. He also identifies the gravitational pull of sin. In Proverbs 5:22, it says, "His own wrongdoings will trap the wicked, and he will be held by the cord of his sin." Like the habit someone swore they controlled until it tightened around them and they can't break free. He also exposes the psychology of temptation. Proverbs 7:21 through 23 says, "With her many persuasions she entices him. With her flattering lips she seduces him. Suddenly he follows her, as an ox goes to slaughter, or as one walks in ankle bracelets to the discipline of a fool, until an arrow pierces through his liver. As a bird hurries to the snare, so he does not know that it will cost him his life." This is like the moment someone gives in just once, not realizing they're walking straight into consequences they didn't see coming. He also reveals the foundation of everything. In Proverbs 1:7, he says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." It's like trying to understand life without God. Everything seems right side up until it all collapses under its own weight. And this is the point. Solomon isn't just writing wisdom, he is mapping spiritual physics. Predictable patterns, predictable outcomes, and predictable consequences. Solomon also describes people in categories. He describes the wise, the foolish, the mocker, the simple. Each category behaves predictably. Each has predictable outcomes. These patterns didn't exist anywhere else in the ancient world. He also writes about justice. In Proverbs 17:23, it says, "A wicked person accepts a bribe from an inside pocket to pervert the ways of justice." It's like the official who takes under the table money, and suddenly the guilty walks free while the innocent suffer. He also talks about money. In Proverbs 13:11, he says, "Wealth obtained in a hurry will dwindle, but the one who gathers by labor will increase it." It's like the person chasing quick money schemes while the steady worker quietly builds real stability. He also talks about friendship. In Proverbs 18:24, it says, "A person of too many friends comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." It's like the one surrounded by crowds, but he feels alone when life collapses, while a single loyal friend stays when everyone else vanishes. He also talks about leadership. In Proverbs 29:14, it says, "If a king judges the poor with truth, his throne will be established forever." It's like a leader who protects the vulnerable and earns the trust that no attack or scandal can undo. He also talks about truthfulness. In Proverbs 12:19, it says, "Truthful lips will endure forever, but a lying tongue is only for a moment. Like the lie that feels safe in the moment until the truth outlasts it and exposes everything." Every line reveals how Solomon thought. He thought systematically, analytically, categorically, spiritually, truth first, and fear of the Lord centered. This was wisdom at full power, a mind fully illuminated by God. And then comes the haunting threat. Solomon mapped the very dangers he would later walk into. He wrote Proverbs 5:8, "Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house." But 1 Kings 11:3 says he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. The man who warned others to stay far away walked straight into the very thing he cautioned against. He also wrote in Proverbs 11:28, "He who trusts in his riches will fall." But 1 Kings 10:27 says, "He made silver as common as stones." And he also wrote Proverbs 16:18, which says, "Pride goes before destruction, but his heart turned away," in 1 Kings 11:4. This is not commentary. This is a biblical tragedy. Solomon wrote the warnings years before he ignored them. Proverbs shows Solomon analyzing human behavior. Song of Songs shows him doing something even rarer. He understood the inner world of desire and devotion. In a time when kings wrote about conquest, Solomon wrote lines like, "Draw me after you and let's run together. The king has brought me into his chambers." Song of Solomon 1:4. He captured insecurity. "Do not stare at me because I am dark, for the sun has tanned me." Song of Solomon 1:6. He captured covenant-level attachment. "My beloved is mine, and I am his. He pastures his flock among the lilies." Song of Solomon 2:16. These aren't romantic clichés, they're psychological fingerprints. Longing, vulnerability, reassurance, pursuit, mutual devotion. Song of Songs proves Solomon didn't just understand wisdom, he understood the soul. And that is what makes the contrast so tragic. The king who wrote about covenant love later treated marriage like political currency. He knew what love was and still drifted from it. In Ecclesiastes, is Solomon thinking clearly while his heart is still slowly drifting? It opens with a blunt assessment. "Futility of futilities," says the preacher. "Futility of futilities, all is futility." Ecclesiastes 1:2. He tries pleasure and records the results. "So I considered all my activities which my hand had done, and the labor which I had exerted, and behold, all was futility and striving after wind, and there was no benefit under the sun." Ecclesiastes 2:11. He observes the endless repetition of life. What had been, it is what will be. And what has been done, it is what will be done. So there is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. He looks at wealth and sees its trap. One who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor one who loves abundance with its income. This too is futility. Ecclesiastes 5:10. He identifies the deepest ache in the human condition. He has made everything appropriate in its time. He has also set eternity in their heart, without the possibility that mankind will find out the work which God has done from the beginning even to the end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Ecclesiastes is not a collapse of faith. It's a collapsing of everything else. Once God is no longer central, it is Solomon discovering what life becomes when the fear of the Lord begins to evaporate. And at the end, after examining everything under the sun, he returns to the truth he started with. Fear God and keep his commandments. Ecclesiastes 12:13. This is the wisdom of a man who tried to build meaning without reverence and watched it crumble. Scripture also adds a striking detail about Solomon. He studied trees, wildlife, ecosystems, birds, reptiles, and fish. This wasn't curiosity, this was early scientific thinking. Categorizing creation, mapping patterns, connecting how the world works with how the soul works. Solomon saw everything as part of a design system, and that is why his fall is so haunting. He understood everything except his own drifting heart. He wrote the warnings he would later ignore. He describes the pitfalls he would later walk into. He mapped the architecture of wisdom while the foundation beneath him was beginning to weaken. And that leads directly into part 4. The ancient warning spoken before he was born, the prophecy of how a king would rise, how his heart would turn, and how the cracks would begin. We are now standing on the threshold of that prophecy.